In this module, we're going to cover the basic setup that we're going to have to do to use Excel throughout this semester. Um, there's several different features in Excel that by default are not turned on, but we will actually be making use of these features throughout the exercises we're going to be doing in this semester. So we need to make sure that as a first step, the very first thing that we need to do to your Excel setup is make sure that these features are turned on. I'm using Excel 2010, which may be slightly different than 2013 or 2007 on how to turn on these particular features. I'm going to show in 2010 how to turn it on. If you require assistance for 2013 or 2007, you most certainly can find that information from Microsoft's website, or you can see me after class and I will show you where to find it in those particular versions. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn on the developer tool bar for Microsoft Excel. In order to do this, we're going to select on File from the toolbar, and we're going to select Options. And under Options, you'll see the selection that we have here called Customize Ribbon. Under Customize Ribbon, on the very farthest right side, you'll see that there is a selection option for the Developer tab. We want to make sure that the Developer tab is selected. As a part of that, we will be able to get all of the Visual Basic for Applications editor, all the control add-ins, all of those features. We'll want to make sure we have those. So make sure that you have the Developer tab selected. The next thing that we'll want to do is if you select on the add-ins, on the very bottom of the add-in page, you'll see that there is the ability to manage Excel add-ins. If you select the Go button right next to that drop-down, you'll see that there are several different selections here. We want to make sure that we have the Analysis Tool Pack, the Analysis Tool Pack for VBA, and the Solver add-in. All of those should be selected. When we've completed these selections, what we should see is we should see a selection for a developer toolbar. You should now see all of these features are available and viewable on your toolbar under the developer tab. And you should also see under the data tab the ability to select on data analysis and solver. So the two things that we really did here with those selections is we turned on the ability to have the data analysis tab, or data analysis and solver under the data tab, and we're now able to see the developer tab. Now, one of the things that we will be using throughout the semester in some of our activities is the Visual Basic application for Applications Developer. We can actually get to that editor by selecting on the Development tab and then selecting on the furthest left-hand side the Visual Basic button. But out of habit, and just because it's a quicker way to get to it no matter where you're at in Excel, one thing that you should commit to memory is using Alt F11 to open up the editor. No matter where you're at within Excel, if you hold down the Alt button that's next to your spacebar, and then the F11 key that's on the top of your keyboard, you'll be able to bring up the Visual Basic Editor, which is an extra add-in or kind of a behind-the-scenes tool for Excel that we'll be using throughout the semester. We can close that out now, but you might want to practice being able to open that window and close it to navigate to the Visual Basic Editor. During our exercises, we will assume that you will know how to get there using the quick key commands to get to that location. The other section of the Developer tab that we'll be using is the toolbox to be able to add in some different elements to our Excel spreadsheets. These allow us to drop in, for example, some features where we can draw up and down arrows that will allow us to do some connections to cells and allow us to drive our visualizations. We can add option buttons that people can select for different uses. So we want to make sure that you're familiar on how to get to this toolbox or this toolbar by going to the Developer tab and then going to this Insert icon with the hammer and the wrench. That is where we'll be going when we need to drop in certain elements for future activities. So As part of this activity, you should have been able to turn on the developer toolbar, you should be able to turn on the solver, and you should be familiar with how to get to the Visual Basic Editor and the toolbox to be able to drop in add-ins.